It's time now to review headlines in today's newspapers with the Ombudsman of This Day and Arise Media Group and This Day Newspaper Limited Group's Executive Director, KK we call him, Mr. Kayode Komolafe.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Happy
KK.
Easter.
Happy Easter to you.
Happy Easter.
All right.
And happy Easter to our viewers.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you. All right, let's go into the newspaper review. We'll start, as always, with This Day, the newspaper of record. We'll take it from top to bottom. The window story here says, Danjuma restates his self-defense call as death toll in Benue attacks hits 56. Says the killers have acquired sophisticated arms to take over lands, insists nobody will save the people except themselves. That story is on page 5. Sad that this is what we are dealing with on a day like this when people are supposed to be celebrating. Kachi did, remind us of the need to also remember those who will not have the opportunity to celebrate Easter today. Those are the people that General Danjuma is talking about. Next story, Cardoso, no turning back on CBN's confidence building, orthodox monetary policy, transparency, others. And I think that has to do with the first picture there, showing the MD, CEO of Central Securities Clearing System, Haruna Jallo Waziri, with the group chairman, Nigerian Exchange Group, Alhaji Umaru Kwangira, and of course the governor of Central Bank himself, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, with a few other people at the Nigerian Investment Forum organized by the CBN in collaboration with the NGX Group. Now the lead story into this day, PDP Governor Eno confirms support. Sorry?
I said you called it. You mentioned this earlier.
Yes.
You called it.
Confirmed support for APC's Tinubu, Delta, Rivers, Enugu way options. So you have Wike with Tinubu, you have Fayose in the southwest with Tinubu, you have Governor Umueno in the south with Tinubu. It's looking like it's going to be a wallop, as they say in football. But of course, 24 hours may be a long time in politics. And in the other story, in Easter messages, Atiku, Akpabio, governors, Obi, Olukoide urge Nigerians to promote love, unity. That story is on page 8. And of course, we should also have a word on the cover picture. The second picture, rather, is a thank you visit, and it's showing former President Muhammadu Buhari and the president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, when he paid a thank you visit to the former president at his Kaduna residence recently. So that's Dr. Adesina on all fours, saying thank you to former President
Very grateful.
Buhari. Those are the stories. Let's start with this day before we go into the other papers. KK.
Yes. Maybe we should start with the
thank you photo.
The photo, yeah. I think they say that gratitude is a vanishing virtue in our climate. I think what Dr. Adesina has done in this instance is to say that it still remains a virtue, to so thank you to if a person has shown you goodwill, that extended goodwill to you, that we should be grateful.
Yes.
I think it's quite in order, and he's doing it in the perfect Omoluabi. That is,
the Dobale, the Omoluabi
Dobale, which is the university that Omoluabi to say an Omoluabi is a gentleman.
Yes.
Is an understatement. that the sense of a gentleman is not sufficient to. It's not a sufficient translation of Omoluabi, but it's something similar to that.
That's true.
Okay. Now, the lead story is political. I could say that the Sunday editors on Sunday, their reflex, is more political because politics is already
well-crafted story by Wale Olale, by the way.
Yes, well, yeah. Yes, but then, well-crafted story, I agree with you, but again, still largely speculative.
Yes.
Yeah. And which is legitimate, given this sense. So when I say speculative,
but when did make the announcement, he spoke openly.
I say largely speculative.
Okay, okay, all right. Well.
We have not heard from the governor of Delta, the governor of Rivers, and the governor of Enugu, which is
that's why he says that they're weighing options.
And that's why I say it is speculative to that extent.
All right.
Now, but to even address the declaration of Governor, I think it is important to put these things in some historical context. It is really not anathema, for members of a political party or even the whole political party, to when we build up to election, to express support. Okay, maybe in the more recent history. If you remember, in the first time of President Obasanjo, was the governors of the Alliance for Democracy then, here in the Southwest, who even started the campaign for the second term of Obasanjo, even before PDP governors began to speak. I still remember the late Lamadishino, who was then the governor of Oyo State then, Akonde, in Osho, and
they were all outsmarted.
No, that's what I'm saying. That there's a history to it. So those who are acting now, the point I'm trying to make is that they should be informed, by history. Then that's number one. And the other thing is to also demystify it. That there is nothing that is unusual. That there's something that is a new creation, in our politics when people do it,
If you governors in opposition,
yes, when governors endorse, or
yes,
exactly.
Yeah, but people are saying, isn't that a bit too early?
That is the point.
Yeah.
That was saying that the editor. I started by saying that the editors, Sunday editors, weekend editors generally, that it's like they focus more, on politics rather than, reporting, the implementation or the non-implementation, of policies as they are, for those who are governors and, as well as even the president at the national level. But then, I'm still trying to, put it in the historical context. In the second republic, actually after the election won by the National Party of Nigeria and President Shehu Shagari, was inaugurated, in putting together his cabinet, extended President Shehu actually extended, the only branch, to the other parties, inviting them to join in what is called the unity government, And if you read this story, you discover that you find, that reference that, like Governor, of Akwa Ibom is justifying his action that what is necessary now is to quote him. He said what we have now is not party politics, that is unity politics, which is like a throwback, to what the MPN and the MPP, were doing in the Second Republic, and it was on that basis that when that republic was taken off, it was even an MPP. Member of House of Reps, the late Honorable Ume Uzoke, who then emerged as the speaker, while Joe Wires, Senator Joe Wires of MPN, emerged as the Senate President.
Wires.
So I'm saying that in taking out in the Second Republic, that two parties actually, worked together and have people reform, and then more recently. Obasanjo, appointed Bolaige, of the AD, as a minister, before the tragedy happens, So the point to note here is that there is nothing strange, there is nothing new in what these governors are doing now. But what we perhaps insist upon is that all this support, alignment, should not just be alignment of people based, of individuals based on their ambition. We should be programmatic, alignment. I mean, so when you say you are supporting a party, it must be based on certain policy issues, that you admire. If you say you are having a coalition of parties, let us see what is the package, what is the policy content, of that coalition. What is the new thing that you want to do? I mean, because when parties decide to, when a party decides to support another, usually, like the example of the Second Republic I gave. I remember UPN, opted out, while MPP, took, the offer of MPN in having the coalition. Okay. A UPN of Shiva Obafemi, opted out. And what was the basis? Awolowo said, yes, we could work with the MPN, but on the condition that the 4 cardinal programs of UPN will be adopted by MPN and be executed. That we cannot just go into it was called an accord then. We could not have an accord just to have people appointed as ministers or people, given, certain posts in government, but that our 4 cardinal programs on free education, free health, integrated rural development, and full employment must be accepted, by MPN. That if you are going to accept it, then we can then work together. So what is lacking in all this now is that you are not having merger of programs. You are not having agreement on programs, on policies, on the direction in which within Nigeria should be run. Rather, what you are having is just mergers, just for individuals, to fulfill their ambition. And that is the said. Do
you think it might be too soon? It might be that's something they might eventually put out there, but these are just immediate decisions. Maybe that's why
that should be the first step. That it is not there is a huge deficit. In the whole thing, the issue should be. Then, if you could quickly check the story.
Let's get to style, shall we? Before
I think we want to take one more story.
The story on the window is very important. It's a security story. I think it is soul depressing. It's a huge irony that you have one of the most respected generals, of the Nigerian army, perhaps out of frustration with this security situation, coming out with this prescription that people should take up arms, to defend themselves. It is not. That proposition, not just only in the short term but in the long run, might not be healthy. To start with, the Constitution gives the state, the Nigerian state, the responsibility for security, and that is why we have security, defense agencies and huge budgets, going into it. Every land, every government, since in the last quarter of a century, has budgeted more on defense, and security, more than any other item. So the purpose, of pouring resources to it is for the state to perform that. Okay. But when you now say that everybody should take up arms, it's like a reversal, of human civilization. That's true. I think we should not have, even in a state of war. It is not everybody who's fighting the war. So if you want more soldiers, you can have emergency recruitment.
Do you think he is highlighting a deeper issue in the sense that insecurity is not a new issue. It's not a new situation. And it's a conversation that we have talked about several times. Do you think this statement is basically highlighting and sending us a deeper message to say, at this point in time, as a person in Plateau, in Benue, in Borno, you are on your own. So you better be ready to defend yourself and not depend on
we're in
the
a desperate
situation
But the prescription, the solution to it should be one that is constructed that can solve the problem, you know.
But
Everybody taking up arms, you know, cannot be a solution to security problem in Nigeria. That's what I'm making.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that it's a huge irony that prescription is coming from one of the highly respected generals, you know, of
it's
Nigeria.
a reflection of
the point that if you are a subject of constant attack, you can't just
fold and wait, because they've been waiting. They've been waiting for constructive advice. They've been waiting
for
help.
You should then look at the implication of everybody being already when it has not even been made when it has not even been declared to be legitimate, that everybody should take up arms, you know. You have the proliferation of small arms, you know, and that's
self-preservation is the first rule.
You know, maybe if people begin to go haywire, the security agencies.
That cannot be a solution.
Here's the thing. Maybe
rather what you should do is people to collaborate with the defense and security agencies by way of information.
People are dying on a daily basis.
And also to challenge the security, and defense forces to do that.
And
which, by the way, we should acknowledge that they are doing, but they need to do. They need to do more. The solution cannot be that.
Punch is saying that security chiefs under fire.
The solution to our problem
look like they are doing
cannot be that everybody should take up arms.
It doesn't look like they are doing
enough. Maybe if it starts coming to their own homes,
that is a prescription for anarchy.
If they start harassing people,
that is a prescription of anarchy.
It's already anarchy.
What is happening?
What is already happening is anarchy.
It will be worse. It will be worse. It's not about
worse than over 1,000 people dying.
We should not have for desperation. Suggest a solution that will be destructive, for the system,
Let's do this time.
No modern society is organized like that.
If you look at Sunday Telegraph, you will see the Plateau massacre, how they have captured all the attacks.
Serious problem. I agree with you, but we have to find a solution that is workable.
This style.
Well, This Day Style today profiles one of Nigeria's finest, Nigerian artist Davido. Looking dapper as always. This is an interview that was conducted by Ayala Wow. Beautiful conversation there. We know Davido just put out a brand new album, and this is so exciting. Five, exactly. So this is a pretty big deal. Davido has definitely been in the news for a lot of great conversations lately. Most recently, his interview on The Breakfast Club, where he spoke about several issues: his relationship, his music, his relationship with other artists, the fact that he sees everybody as his person, his for everyone. He's not just for one person. So you can definitely find that, the e-copy of This Day Style on the thisdaylive.com website. So just get on there and catch up on what Davido has been up to. He looks absolutely amazing. I'm really happy about this cover. The tagline says, "The King Who Never Misses." Davido's put out a couple of albums, from a good time to a better time. To the most recent body of work that he's now put out, Timeless as well. All 4 albums were, in the words of Olamide at the the Headies in 2016, they were a hit back to back. They were a hit back to back. So it's exciting to see this one, and that's what you have on This Day Style. So be sure to get a copy of that online on thisdaylive.com.
All right, fantastic, good one to David Adeleke, Davido, our guy. All right, let's quickly look at Sunday Telegraph, if we have time at all. Very quickly, like I said earlier, they detailed, stuff about Plateau massacre. Survivors narrate gory details of midnight attack. But it doesn't look like we have a Telegraph to show.
So
although I was interested in
Sunday Vanguard?
The story of presidency. Shettima not refused access to the villa, accuses mischief makers of creating imaginary division. Can we go to Vanguard?
Of course, it's ironic that we're talking about this because, again, on the Vanguard, the main story here talks about Benue killings, retired generals' homeland under siege, 56 corpses recovered in 2 local government areas after Good Friday massacre. This is existential threat. Thank you. Defend yourselves, the monarch is telling subjects. At this point in time, I think that this is a serious issue. But another story here on the Vanguard that I think is really important, a court ruling how Obasa outplayed Lagos assembly members. You can find that story on page 5.
I'm not sure if KK will be interested in discussing that.
Discussing this.
But people say that he did outplay them, didn't he?
You know, but just to wrap that up.
CBEX.
Exactly.
A lot of people have money in there.
In there, 1 trillion naira lost
how much
by
did they
victims.
lose?
Me?
Yeah.
Let's not go. Let's just leave that one for another day. You know, and I think another important story, the Abuja manholes of death. You can find that story on page 10. Now, I lived in the FCT, and it's so crazy to say I lived in the FCT because that was just up until recently. And you have these manholes that the government actually painstakingly covers up to ensure people's safety. And then at odd hours of the day, you have people going to take these metals away from the manholes and melt and resell them for other purposes. Now, these manholes are the major causes of accidents in the FCT, especially at night, because they're so huge. A tire slumping into one of them could cause a car to tumble, not to talk of the number of people that have fallen into these manholes. So I think it's a real problem that Abuja is yet to find a solution to.
Okay, so KK, any of the stories that you may be interested in a few seconds before we call it a day and we go and enjoy Easter?
Maybe we should still stay on the security because it's the most.
Okay, you're not done with that.
No, I'm not.
You have
it's security first.
But earlier all the papers are saying that the army generals do not seem to be doing enough.
Anything. They're saying arm yourself.
They're doing something, but
not enough.
Yeah.
I agree with you, on that. Then I'm saying that then what we should do is to challenge them more,
How?
Like we are doing. You have just said that they are not doing enough. That is the challenge, But I'm saying, but in doing so, we must be charitable enough to acknowledge that our men in uniform, soldiers, policemen, security agents, are
plenty people are dying on a daily basis, and they have the right to defend themselves. If push comes to shove, I think that's what.
According to the law.
All right, according to the KK, we want to thank you on this beautiful Easter Sunday morning.
I hope you have a lot of good meals planned out for today. Some really nice meals.
Okay,
thank you very much.
That brings us to the end of the morning show today. Thank you for watching and happy Easter. I'm Steve Ayorinde.
And it is always such a joy. Happy Easter and Kachi Ofia from our entire team here in Lagos, Nigeria. Enjoy the rest of your morning and, of course, the rest of your day. Goodbye.